Hi, welcome to Indian Coffee Stories. I'm Shashank, and today we're going to talk about why Indian Coffee Stories. What is this channel about? It's stories about coffee, stories over coffee. Back in 2022, when I kind of first got into the hobby, I was in New York and I got to experiment with a lot of Colombian beans. I got to experiment with a lot of Brazilian beans, basically South American beans. And it was a very enjoyable way to get into hobby. The first grinder that I got was the Timor C2, which was making waves back then as a very, very affordable entry level grinder. And the first brewer that I had was the AeroPress. And the AeroPress is extremely versatile. It was such a wonderful thing to get into. Unfortunately, I feel like what has happened since then is that the coffee hobby in 2026 is all about equipment. Back, and it's not that long ago, back in 2022, it was like find a grinder you like that appeals to you, that looks good, and then just focus on extracting most from the beans you get. Now when I look at the Indian coffee space, it's a lot of like, hey, by the way, I bought this equipment, I bought this grinder, I imported this coffee from this particular place, and it feels very restrictive and prohibitive. Espresso machines are a lot more expensive now. There's obviously a lot more equipment. I would say that this is also a wonderful time to be in the coffee hobby. Because there's so many roasters, there's so many choices. When I came back to India in 2023, there weren't that many choices, there weren't that many roasters. I made some wonderful friends because it was a very close, tight-knit space. Now there's a lot more people, which is obviously always a wonderful thing. But I also feel like the coffee hobby has become a little bit of an elitist hobby. It's not like I'm not buying equipment. I am buying equipment. I have a lot of equipment, but it's accumulated over many, many years. But I didn't buy it because I wanted to show it off. I bought it because I thought I genuinely wanted to try out the kind of coffee that I would get from, let's say, a new piece of gear. So this channel is kind of trying to go back to the roots of what I remember as the coffee hobby, and I kind of want to talk about Indian coffee. Indian coffee, there's a lot of new stuff happening. There's a lot of new roasters. There's a lot of exciting stuff that's happening, and I really want to put that out there. I am buying some incredible new coffee. I've been buying Robusta beans for my espressos, and I've been loving it. I love it more than the Arabica I was using before. I bought the Cafe Robusta from Devans, and I really like it for my morning brews. I don't necessarily like the Viennese blend as in comparison to the Cafe Robusta, which is surprising for me because I used the Viennese blend for many years. So it's a really exciting time in many ways to be in the hobby because now there's acceptance, there's more new stuff that's happening. And so this is why I'm starting this channel. And thank you for listening, by the way. It's a long rant, but I'm really excited to get this going. So why me? That's a question that obviously is harder to answer. I've been a coffee enthusiast for the last 4 years, and I'm going to put a shot of all of the coffee bags I've been buying over the last few years. I've been saving them for this like one shot, I guess. And really, I guess I'm just a coffee enthusiast and a coffee nerd. I've gotten fairly deep into the coffee hobby. And I've actually also built a brew tracker. It's now an AI-powered brew tracker. And the idea is that, I really want to understand the kind of coffee I'm brewing. I really want to understand the equipment that I'm using in order to brew it. I want to understand, a bunch of things about coffee. But at the same time, apart from the nerdiness, I really like it as a daily ritual. My day starts with coffee, and sometime around 4 or 5 p.m. I have my second or third cup of coffee to sort of make sure that I get to sleep on time. But I really enjoy the process of it. I really enjoy the quiet moment that I get when I do it. And so that's me. That's the coffee nerd, and that's kind of why I think I'm qualified to actually make this channel and run it. So yeah, that's my why me. What to expect? Well, I keep saying stories about coffee and stories over coffee. I feel like coffee. So this is an opinion that I've kind of understood over time. Stories about coffee, of course, because I want to talk about Indian coffee. I want to talk about the kind of coffee I'm drinking. I want to talk about the roasters that I'm getting coffee from. I want to talk about the quality of coffee I'm getting at different cafes, or there's a bunch of topics to talk about. Like, mostly want to talk about home extraction and home brewing, because I don't own a cafe. I don't do commercial barista stuff. I just am a home barista. So I really want to focus on those things. I want to focus on how to go about this hobby cheaply, because I don't have a lot of money to throw around on coffee equipment all the time. I have a very trusty Gajia Classic Pro, which I really, really enjoy. I don't have any reason to believe that I need to upgrade to, let's say, La Marzocca Linea or something of that sort. So that's kind of why, that's kind of the thing you can expect from this particular channel. But then there's stories over coffee, right? And here's the kicker. Coffee is a conversation starter. It kind of always has been. Whether it's political stuff, whether it's romantic, whether it's opinions, culture. Coffee is kind of known for it. And here's the funny thing. If you read the book, The Devil's Cup, it's a book about coffee. The Devil's Cup talks about how the Lloyd's Bank kind of started as a cafe. There's a bunch of people drinking coffee and had the idea to sell insurance for ships. And of course, like, other people were doing it, but then they kind of did it better, or they succeeded, or they survived. I'm not quite sure, but you get the gist. Ideas were exchanged over coffee. Discoveries have been made over coffee. Inventions have been fueled by like a 3 a.m. coffee binge, and so it keeps you sharp, it keeps you alert, it keeps you awake, and it also connects dots that you might not have done otherwise. In the book, The Devil's Cup, the author talks about how coffee and caffeine are chemicals we are knowingly imbibing in our body. Now, who you were before and who you are after a coffee drink are two different people. And so this particular chemical then influences the kinds of decisions you make, the kinds of, like your life trajectory, basically, like what direction you choose to go to. And so that's kind of what I want to talk about. I want to talk about stories about coffee and stories over coffee. So you can expect me to be rambling about topics that are close to me, while at the same time rambling about topics that are about coffee. Hey, if you heard this far, I would love for you to subscribe. There's more content coming on the channel. I am going to shoot a lot more videos about coffee and over coffee. I really think that this can be a community, and that this is the kind of content that's actually required around coffee. I don't necessarily want to be another coffee influencer, who's producing these wonderfully aesthetic shots. I don't know if I can do that, and I don't know if I want to, but I do want to have intelligent conversations while having coffee, and I want to give you guys enough tips and guidance to produce great cups of coffee at home, so that you also enjoy the cup of coffee that you're drinking. My belief is that the best cup of coffees that I have ever had are with people I like, because giving them that cup, making that cup for them, feels really special. And seeing there's a satisfaction in giving them something that they would enjoy. So looking forward to having you here. Thank you for watching.